Hey there everyone, it's Scurvy back again with another episode of Scurvy's Ramblings, and as you can see, I'm utilizing the stage for something other than the ScurvyRum show. I wonder which aristocratic utensil I copied that idea from. But speaking of my influences for the channel, we're actually going to be talking about another one today, Legion of Men. I've been watching his stuff consistently since like mid-2022, and he's been spot on about most things that he talks about. If there's an area where he's really knowledgeable in, it's about moving overseas to find a better life. I've seen stuff from his main channel and his second channel about that process. However, there are some areas, albeit not many, where he gets things pretty wrong, and that would primarily be video games and anime. You know, not gonna lie, whenever he starts talking about why men shouldn't be playing video games, he kinda sounds like Matt Walsh, but at least the leader of the Sweet Baby Gang is joking, even if his humor is rather deadpan. So, looking at his latest community post from 7 hours ago, at the time of recording this, we have, why do men get so defensive when you suggest to stop playing video games and treat life like a video game instead? Is it a sign of our weak times? One guy said, I play video games cause I'm broke, otherwise I'd be traveling. Why am I broke? Because I play video games. I suspect a majority of men do not have a healthy relationship with them, and it's a factor why they are not advancing in life or a form of escape. Do you agree? And the poll has yes at 22%, no at 16%, it's a dependency/addiction at 16%, a form of cope at 39%, and I got another reason right below at 8%. I voted for number 5, as you can see on the screen. I didn't write anything in the comments, so I'll give my answer here. These days, I mainly play video games to decompress. Simple as that. For first-time viewers, Scurvy's a grad student. I also go to the gym 5 days a week, most weeks, and then I go to jiu-jitsu class 2 days, most weeks. I also live in an apartment which needs to be maintained and cleaned, and I'm also the proud owner of 3 beautiful aquatic snails. Doing those things can actually be pretty stressful, the snail part being the most difficult, obviously. But after getting a major assignment done, or doing the most arduous task in the world, changing out the snail's water, I'm allowed to have some rest and relaxation. True leisure time, as one would say. Anecdotally, what I've learned is that the more responsibilities you have, the more fun video games can actually be, depending on the game you're playing, of course. I used to be a pretty hardcore World of Warcraft player. Personally, my best expansion in terms of achievements was easily Shadowlands. Though I had a really fun time with that expansion, you could see the review of it on my channel, it's like 2 hours long. This was my point in life where the lockdowns were in full swing, so I basically was either going on a walk or I was just playing World of Warcraft. The only responsibilities that I had while I was on campus during that time was maintaining good grades and making sure that I ate. That was basically it. During my senior year, when things started to open back up, I actually had more things to do. I turned 21 over the summer, so you know what that means. I finally got to go out to the bars. Now, the bar that I went to back in those days, it was more like a pub, and it was mainly filled with like older people. I did see some people like in my grade, but that was few and far between. And those few and far between people that I met who were in my grade, we got along pretty well, and so I set myself an expectation that I would go there at least once or twice a week to catch up with their lives. It's what us friends would do. Now that I felt like I was moving up in life, playing World of Warcraft when I got back or before I went out was actually a fun time. I wasn't just playing because I was trying to cope with a insurmountable situation. I was playing because I genuinely wanted to. And if you ask me, the best state that World of Warcraft was ever in was in patch 9.2. The message I say when it comes to video games is that of moderation. Once you're done with your responsibilities, find a fun game that you could play for about like an hour or two and really enjoy that time. You fucking earned it. My go-to games for this are either Guilty Gear Strive or Splatoon 3. Also, if you run a YouTube channel like I do, you could do work and play at the same time. It's also really easy to do that as well. All you need is OBS and a game capture, and you're good to go. I have several videos of me doing exactly that. There's also a lot of gaming commentary channels out there with a lot of subscribers. They do the same thing I do, they just are more entertaining than me, and are way more milquetoast with their political takes than I am. I also took a look at the comments in that first post as well, and oh my goodness. Bo, you got owned on this one. I get where your sentiments on this topic are coming from. You used to be literally involved with MLG. Pro gaming absolutely creates a sense of burnout like nothing else when it comes to video games, at least. I've seen many pros from different games retire, and either A, they basically just stop playing video games, or B, they continue to play games, albeit in a far more casual manner in which they could actually enjoy themselves. But the difference between you and the pros who basically quit gaming altogether, they're not trying to shove a message of stop enjoying your hobby down everyone's throats. I don't think he understood that memo in particular, because he made another post a few hours later. This post reads, piggybacking off the video game post that triggered some for even asking questions. There, sweet child. Power on the console and forget how hard the world is becoming, because millions of men are simultaneously ignoring their civic duty, while old farts and cackling hyenas are leading us into serfdom. Think about getting involved in your local elections. Think about running for a position in your community. You are not crazy. Yes, you can win. Yes, you can make a difference. I'm trying hard to ignore politics, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to pretend it's not my problem. And then the image that's beneath the post is football, beer, and above all, gambling filled up the horizon of their minds. To keep them in control was not difficult. George Orwell, 1984. Bread and circuses, understandable. First off, Bo, you run a red pill channel. You should understand why men want nothing to do with civic duty in the West. Let me answer that question for you. First off, democracy is a fucking sham. Even if one of us red pill guys miraculously wins an election, in the next election, a bunch of fucking retards could go and vote for a fucking retard to destroy everything because my feelings is surprisingly a strong platform when living under a democracy. You can see who's being appealed to with that platform. Next, I want to talk about that Reddit tier comeback. People are not just stopping their brains whenever they turn on the console. It's more likely that when that guy hops on his console and then hops into voice chat with the boys, they're more than likely to talk about how hard society is nowadays, especially if that group is a bunch of masculine guys. They get their bitching and complaining out there, then afterwards, after the game and when they're still on voice chat, they're gonna try to talk about practical solutions, about how to deal with the problems in their lives. Going back to the civic duties point for a moment, why should we care about a society that clearly hates us? You point that out in your videos. Us guys clearly notice a pattern of events that's going on. We keep hearing the message of men bad and men evil and men harass women whenever they look at them. So our response to that pattern is to do as little as possible for the society. Now keep in mind when I say this that I'm not MGTOW, but those guys are 100% correct when they say it's better to just walk away from this corrupt system that we're living in. Now, frequent viewers of mine know what I get up to when I go out to the bars, but some people don't even want to deal with normies anymore, and I completely understand why. They are just incapable of having any real form of conversation. They are really fucking stupid. Whenever they try to argue with someone who's actually smart, they just end up rationalizing a whole bunch of bullshit or rationalizing a bunch of degeneracy depending on the topic of debate. Don't even get me started on how stupid and boring normie women are. Anyways, I'd like to wrap up this video with a 4chan post that I found a few months back that's painfully applicable to this video. The context of this post is that the original poster posted something about male dropout rates or something like that. All of this is largely garbage. Why are men dropping out? Because they have self-worth. Seriously, I'm pretty much a dropout by these metrics as well. I do have a job and I work, but beyond that, there's nothing that would make me participate in anything. Women? Unreliable whores that use you as a mule or a tool. I see this with all my friends who got married and had kids. The light went out in their eyes, while the women basically do fuck all and just place demands and meaningless work on them. Friendship? In the end, even my old friends are here just because we trade favors, and beyond that, have nothing in common. Sad but true, friendship exists only in childhood. The whole ordeal is a scam, society. It's all about forcing men to work, to suffer, to be in agony, for nothing, for quote-unquote approval, which is both fleeting and empty and can be taken away by that same society. To be a quote-unquote man in modern society is to be a slave, and I refuse to be a slave. I work just enough for my food and bills, and my hobbies and interests are what I live for. Fuck everything else. This hell is your creation, not mine, and I refuse to participate. None of these psychologists, media figures, quote-unquote experts, and governments care about you. They bitch about men dropping out because of GDP, pensions, who's gonna take care of my kids, and similar shit. They don't care about you or me, and conversely, I don't care about them. And I am happy. I lead a fulfilled life. I lack nothing. Dropping out is not a problem to be solved. It is the solution to the problems of modern pseudo-civilization and modern life, and people hate you for figuring this shit out. They hate you for not being miserable like them. Also, incel shit? Sex is overrated and women can't cure your loneliness. Nothing can. It's a fact of life. An underlying fact ordained by God himself. Deal with it, and in due time it becomes a non-issue as well. Now, I don't agree with everything that post has to say, but god damn, it's quite the truth bomb. Rhetorically, it's similar to your videos trying to get men to move out of the West. Becoming an expat or passport bro or whatever you want to call it, it's a form of dropping out. As a matter of fact, that's gonna be my way of dropping out of Western society. Like you, I see the writing on the wall. But for guys who either don't want to move out of the West or can't do the whole expat thing, I genuinely cannot see a problem with those guys living for their hobbies and interests as long as it doesn't take over their lives. And keep in mind that hobbies and interests are not just limited to video games and other forms of electronic media. So, the moral of the story, play video games in moderation and don't let anybody give you shit for it. Thanks for watching everyone, and my next video is gonna be in defense of Gungrave Gore.